Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 15 continues Toyotaro's vision of the future Trunks arc and has also raised quite a few new questions. Manga Chapter 15 correlates roughly with Dragon Ball Super episodes 48 and 49 of the anime, which covers Trunks' confrontation with Black in the future and his eventual travel back in time to the present Dragon Ball Super timeline, seeking help from his friends. Even though I loved the anime version of Black vs. Trunks as the animation was amazing, I really enjoyed this version of it, the manga version. Toyotaro, as I've said 100 times before, is an unbelievably talented artist. Trunks, of course, firing off the Masenko. Trunks and Black get it on in the streets of Western City. Destroyed Western City, of course. And they had some really cool extra stuff in this version of the manga, including some very interesting things like, well, the fight was awesome either way, but in this version, it appears like Black has gotten even more accustomed to Goku's body, whoever the hell Black is, to where he now can use the teleportation technique. Trunks tries to attack him by chopping up this like stone and throwing it at him, and Black teleports out of the way. And they have another really awesome sequence where once Black takes Trunks out, Black tries to kill Trunks using his own sword. Trunks, of course, deflects it and uses a ki blast to escape. Really awesome stuff here. I really enjoy the way that Toyotaro does his fight scenes. Of course, just like in the anime version, Trunks escapes in the time machine and Black sees it, tries to fire off a blast, which looks like a Kamehameha, but Trunks makes it out just in the nick of time. Back to the present, we have an extra little thing where Goku and Vegeta are still sparring and still training, and we're told once again that Goku and Vegeta are still nowhere even close to matching up with Lord Beerus. So, just like in the anime, Trunks' time machine appears, and little Trunks finds the time machine, recognizes it, but of course in this version, rather than Bulma ask if he had blue hair, she just asked if he had a similar hairstyle, which again, Toyotaro seems to be kind of toying with, pun intended, the hair color joke from the anime, doesn't really want to acknowledge what color Trunks' hair is. And just like in the anime, Trunks wakes up and the first thing he sees is Goku's face and immediately attacks him. Naturally, Kid Trunks is extremely surprised at the fact that he, or a version of him from the future, exists. So Trunks tells Goku and the others about what's going on in the future with Goku Black, how he killed his mother and has been destroying humans all over the future timeline. And of course, Bulma wants to get Trunks some time machine fuel so that he can go back to the future and stop Black and maybe even bring Goku and them with him. So then we get to Goku and Trunks competing in their little sparring match, and both transform into SS2, and it's very interesting because during the fight, Trunks is actually fighting better than Goku, who actually states that the Trunks that he's fighting right now is much stronger than Gohan from the Cell game. So Trunks has been training pretty damn hard, and he even himself says that he trained hard. Goku then wants to show him what comes next. Trunks, of course, has no idea anything about SS3. Goku shows him SS3 and Trunks powers up again and is actually fighting pretty evenly with SS3. And this is where the manga begins to take another strange turn. Basically, it's implied that Trunks in his SS2 form is close to being on par with SS3 Goku. Now, obviously, Trunks may have raised his base form so that the multiplier for SS2 is more impactful, but as a longtime fan of this series, I find it very difficult to believe this kind of power scaling, where they are basically trying to tell us that Trunks in his SS2 is almost as strong as Goku in his SS3, which tells us that Trunks' base form is way stronger than Goku's, which to me is kind of strange and doesn't really make a lot of sense. And very interesting too is when Goku actually finishes the fight with Trunks by kicking him in the back of the neck to knock him out, Goku actually transformed into the red-haired SS God. So again, Toyotaro shows a fondness for that form, and it took a God Goku to knock out Trunks. So again, if you are a power level or power scaling enthusiast, the manga continues to be a bit confusing, and honestly, I just would rather not even think about it, and I don't think you guys should either. So even though Trunks is stronger, he tells Goku that he's still not a match for Black. Goku was expecting that it might not be a challenge, but maybe now it will be. Then it gets really interesting because he asked Beerus and Whis if they want to come to the future to help out, but Beerus wants nothing to do with it because he doesn't care. But he does wonder why the future God of Destruction hasn't gotten involved to stop Black from what he's doing. Because when the God of Destruction has to destroy, he has to consider the balance of the universe. Gods of Destruction don't just destroy things for sadistic purposes like Black does, but of course, everybody already knew that. Then, it's very interesting, Beerus is wondering if maybe in the future, Trunks' God of Destruction may have been asleep. But Whis thinks, what happened to the Kaioshin? And Trunks talks about how, of course, in the future timeline, Trunks was able to stop Dabura and Babidi and those guys thanks to the help of the Kaioshin. Trunks then reveals that during the big scuffle, that Kaioshin was killed. Beerus panics, and he wants to know why did Kaioshin even get involved. And then the big twist that everybody's been talking about for the past few days is revealed as Whis tells us that if a Kaioshin dies, automatically the God of Destruction dies, because the Kaioshin are the God of Creation and the Hakaishin are the God of Destruction, and essentially they have a symbiotic united union, kind of like Piccolo and Kami. So if one dies, the other dies, and as a result of that, once Kaioshin was killed in the future, that means that the God of Destruction from the future also died. Now, normally I would be okay with this kind of twist, except for a couple of reasons. Number one, this contradicts Toriyama's statements in the past about how whenever a Kaioshin dies, a new fruit is born from the Shinjin tree, creating a new Kai. This was said in a Toriyama interview about 4 years ago, if I remember correctly. But another reason why it really pisses me off is because it makes absolutely no sense. In the original Dragon Ball manga and in the original story Toriyama told us, there were 5 Supreme Kais, 5 Kaioshin. 4 of them were killed and or absorbed by Majin Buu, with the 1 remaining. Does that mean that there were 5 Gods of Destruction and each one perished? Or is it one of those things where Beerus will still exist as long as there is 1 Kaioshin? And how does that factor in the old Kaioshin? Again, there are so many unanswered questions and so much retconning going on that it's really kind of getting irritating to me, to be honest with you, because it seems that they're creating new holes and new retroactive continuity without thinking about the past. And if this is all explained in the future, then that's fine, not really a problem. But as of right now, there's no explanation, and as of right now, it really makes no sense. But like always, I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach and see if they explain this more thoroughly in the anime or the manga. That way, maybe it makes more sense. Anyways, that's it for Chapter 15 of Dragon Ball Super. Let me know, of course, if you like this version or the anime version more, as I'm sure that this chapter will give us a lot of talking points for the future. Pun intended.